Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA with me, Séamus Brady, and in this one we are going to run through all of the Gaelic football action which took place over the weekend in both the All-Ireland group stages which kicked off and also in the Táilteann Cup round 2. So starting with really the main game which jumps out of the All-Ireland group stages, without a doubt it's Mayo versus Kerry from Fitzgerald Stadium in Group A. What a result this is for Mayo. I mean, their first championship victory over Kerry since 2017 and only their second victory over Kerry since 1996. Just an absolutely outstanding performance by Kevin McStay's team. I mean, from the start, they were outstanding. 2 early goal chances immediately. Early goal chances. Shane Ryan denied both Matthew Ran and then another chance from James Carr. He also denied another chance from James Carr later on in the half, but Shane Ryan in goal was outstanding for Kerry. For Mayo, Aidan O'Shea, fantastic at full forward. Absolutely brilliant performance. Who would have known that if he got good service, he would perform well? I mean, the 2015 example is really the one that I always look at for Mayo when I'm saying, the terrible ball they used to put into him in the past. Now they're putting good ball into him, and they are no doubt getting the rewards. Ryan O'Donoghue put Matthew Ran through for that early goal chance for Mayo. Well saved by Shane Ryan. David Clifford, amazing performance as well. That's the other thing we have to talk about here. David Clifford was absolutely fantastic. 8 points from the Fossa man, whereas James Carr at the other end was really the standout man for me from Mayo in the first half. He hit beautiful points in that first half. Another Carr point made it 8 points to 5 to Mayo. Moynihan responded for Kerry to make it 8-6. The half was relatively back and forth, but Mayo were still always the team in charge. Jack Carney hit a beauty to make it 10-7. Mayo kicked on with James Carr hitting another beautiful score to make it 12 points to 7. Early in the second half, again, Mayo kicked on. Jason Doherty punished a Kerry mistake to make it 14 points to 8. Paul Gainey responded to make it 14-9. This is where Kerry started to click into the gears and started to turn the screw and come back into the game. David Clifford had a fantastic goal chance, brilliantly saved by Colin Reap. Kerry continued on their run. David Clifford's point made it 14 points to 11. But then a clutch point by Donnacha McHugh where he simply just fisted it over the bar, checked the Kerry momentum and made it 15-11. David Clifford hit a beauty. Kerry had hit 2 of the next 3 points to make it 16-13. But then Owen McLaughlin was introduced for Mayo and he was crucial. He timed a run to perfection. He could not have timed that run better if he tried. An outstanding run, the timing of it and the finish. 116 to 13 points. Now Mayo were ahead. Brilliantly set by Ryan O'Donoghue as well. Paddy Durkin, Matthew Ran, they kept the scoreboard ticking as Mayo cruised on to a victory by 119 to 17 points. Outstanding result by Mayo. And honestly, you're looking at them now saying that if you're thinking Kerry are All-Ireland contenders, you have to put Mayo right in that bracket as well. And I would absolutely put Mayo as serious All-Ireland contenders for 2023, especially after a result like that. Well done, Mayo. Now, Galway getting a massive victory over Tyrone in the All-Ireland Championship group stages in Group B. They beat Tyrone in Pearse Stadium by 16 points to 13. A real back and forth game between these two sides, very even throughout, with some key moments. And we're going to get into the key moments that happened in this game. For Tyrone, though, I mean, they've only won 1 championship game since their All-Ireland title back in 2021. I mean, who would have thought that at that time? This is their first championship meeting between Galway and Tyrone, remarkably, since 2004. And it got off to a slow start. Shane Walsh opened the scoring with a beauty in the 8th minute. Darren McCurry responded. Shane Walsh put Galway back ahead 2 points to 1, and a terrible Niall Morgan kickout led to Johnny Heaney pointing to make it 3 points to 1. Again, as the game was going, Tyrone responded and equalised, with Cormac Quinn hitting an equaliser to make it 3 each. Killian McDade then hit a boomer to put Galway back in front 4 points to 3. And then soon after that, Frank Burns was sent off for a huge hit on Jack Glynn. And this is one of the controversial moments, one of the key moments. And I'm going to get into this. I think it was a red card. I think Frank Burns deserved to be sent off for that. Look, you cannot have players going in that hard on head challenges. Jack Glynn is still, by all accounts, a bit concussed, a bit dazed from it even now. So yes, Frank Burns deserved to walk for that. Look, maybe there isn't consistency across the board, but we have to try. And challenges like that, you deserve to go off for it. Very soon after, there was a black card for Niall Morgan as well. He reacted to a bad tackle on Peter Hart and was shown a black card. Now, it was highlighted on the Sunday game. The pundits were saying, why weren't the Galway players given out to when they were clearly giving out for, what had happened to Jack Glynn? Look, two things at play here. Number one, we don't know what was said. If it was just general cursing, it's not as bad as if you use really insulting language. And we don't know what Niall Morgan said. We don't know what the Galway players said. Look, you can lip read and try to get a decent idea, but only the players that were there on the pitch know what was said. And I feel like that's the main thing. The other thing, the challenge on Jack Glynn was way worse than the challenge on Peter Hart. So I feel like the referee kind of makes a little bit of an exception when he thinks about it. Like, Jack Glynn got absolutely cleaned out by Frank Burns. Peter Hart got hit hard, but it wasn't as bad as the Jack Glynn one, in my opinion. So I think they're the two things that came into play. We don't know what Morgan said. He could have said something that was way out of order. I'm just speculating, completely just speculating. But I feel like there is also the possibility that it was way too harsh. Like, I'm very open to that, but I'm only saying here, I don't know whether or not he deserved to get a black card or not. But the reality is he did. And Peter Hart went into goal, something that shows that the goalkeeper of old is gone now, because back in the day, you would have brought on a goalkeeper for those 10 minutes. Peter Hart just went into goal, basically played the Ethan Rafferty style role until Niall Morgan came back on. The other one as well, Galway pushed on after this to make it 6 points to 3. But Tyrone fought back in the second half. Matty Donnelly hit the first score of the second half to make it 7-5. Peter Cook responded to make it 8-5. The teams traded scores until Conor Myler made it 11-9. Killian McDade and Rob Finnerty, though, immediately reopened the gap back up to make it 13 points to 9. Peter Hart made it 13-10. Tyrone fought back to 14-12, but a super score from Damien Comer put Galway 3 points up again. The sides traded scores and it finished 16 points to 13. Very similar to the league game between the two sides. And Fergal Logan, in his post-match interview, did point the finger pretty much directly at the referee and the officials for those two calls, the red card and the black card. As I said, the red card I completely think was the right decision, and the black card, we just simply don't know. That's the honest opinion on that. Look, the reality is that Tyrone have completely fallen off a cliff since their All-Ireland. As I said, they've only won one championship game since that All-Ireland final victory, and that was over Fermanagh. Any challenge they've come up against, they have lost. So that's just the fact. It's harsh. Don't get me wrong, that's very harsh to just come out and say. But they beat Fermanagh, they lost to Derry, they lost to Armagh, they lost to Monaghan, and now they've lost to Galway. So, and those are teams that Tyrone would not have been afraid of, and still aren't, but would not have been afraid of in 2021. So for Logan and for Dooher, they need to turn the corner on this really quickly. Look, they are playing pretty well, and their forward line is fantastic, but they need to get a victory really, really, really soon. But yeah, congratulations to Galway picking up that victory, and I picked them to top Group B. A huge shock in Group C here from Markovich Park. Sligo 14 points, Kildare 14 points. A terrible result for the Lilywhites and a fantastic result for Sligo. Substitute David Quinn landed a point in the 8th minute of stoppage time to snatch a draw for Sligo against 13-man Kildare. Kildare never controlled this game at any stage. They let a 3-point lead slip in the closing stages. Just, again, Kildare are just so confusing. How do you go from nearly beating Dublin in the Leinster semi-final and being so competitive throughout that game to not even being able to beat Sligo, a team that played in Division 4? Like, this is what gets everybody so confused about Kildare. They're not getting the best out of Daniel Flynn, Kevin Feely, Jimmy Hyland, and now they can't beat Sligo. How are you going to compete with Dublin and Roscommon? This is the point that we're getting at here. It was a very even first half. Sean Carabine, Niall Murphy, Finian Cawley, they all led the way for Sligo. Paddy Woodgate, Kevin Flynn led the way for Kildare. Kildare led at half-time by 7 points to 6, but the half-time scoreline reflected just how even a game it was. Kildare pulled it back level at 9 points each after Sligo made a great start to the second half, hitting 3 points in a row, with Sean Carabine getting a brace out of them. Then Kildare had their purple patch after levelling it at 11 each. Jack Robinson and Dara Kieran were to the fore as they pushed 14 points to 11 ahead. And they looked like they were cruising home to victory. But when all hope was lost, Sligo hit the last 3 scores. Niall Murphy hit 2 huge points, and then David Quinn landed the equaliser in the 8th minute of stoppage time. Kildare finished the game without Kevin O'Callaghan and Dara Kieran, who were both sent off. And just, where do you go for Kildare? Like, they should be winning this game. Look, in reality Sligo are making amazing progress. Not going to take that away from them at all. Division 4 champions, made it to a Connacht final, back-to-back under-20 Connacht champions. But the reality is, on paper, Kildare in this game had better players than Sligo did, and they should have won that game. Like, that's just the truth of it. And you would look at it and say, like, what's going on here for Kildare? They've had probably one of the weirdest years I've seen over the last few years. Like, they look really good one week and terrible the next. And going into the Roscommon and Dublin game, I don't fancy them to pick up a result in either of those games. But congratulations to Sligo pulling off the upset and getting a point in the All-Ireland group stages. I would be interested now to see how they get on against Dublin and Roscommon. I don't think they're going to win either game, but I still would be interested to see what way they go about it. Also, look, these two teams are, bringing through huge amounts of talent. As I said, the under-20s, both of these sides were in the under-20 All-Ireland final this year. And obviously Kildare got the victory that day. Sligo as well. Look, Tony McEntee's an Armagh man. He's the senior manager. As I've said on numerous podcasts, they need to be very careful of who they have in the senior job to bring through this talent to the best of their ability. Can they trust McEntee to stick around for 6-7 years? Because that's what I think it's going to take. Same with Kildare. Glenn Ryan, look, on paper, the obvious choice, centre-half back for their hugely successful team at the end of the 90s and into the early 2000s. But the reality is, when you have someone like Davy Burke there, who's from Kildare, who's won an All-Ireland under-20 title with Kildare, and now is doing amazing work with Roscommon, for the Kildare County Board, it's a really, really hard task, because honestly, genuinely Kildare fans, I'm putting this question to you, would you rather have Glenn Ryan or Davy Burke overseeing this, transition of the under-20 side into the senior side? Would you rather have Davy Burke or Glenn Ryan doing that? Honestly, put it in the comments below, because genuinely, that is one where I'm kind of unsure of myself. Obviously a hybrid. Imagine if you could get the two of them, that would be awesome. But it's not. It doesn't always go like that, and there is the phrase of too many chefs in the kitchen. So it would be that type where which one of them would you back over the other? But yeah, big result for Sligo, big shock, and definitely one of the results of the weekend. Now, a huge victory for Donegal as they stop the rot by beating Clare in Group D in Cusack Park in Ennis by 14 points to 9. And don't underestimate the significance of this victory for Donegal. It is only their second win of 2023. It's only their first victory since the first round of the Allianz League. They've not won since then, but now they've put that right this weekend. All four Donegal from play in Kerry. But once again, the only negative here is they didn't create any huge goal chances. So for Donegal, that's something that definitely will be worrying going into the Derry game, going into the Monaghan game. However, another thing that will be worrying is the lead that Clare managed to build up on them early. Pierce Lillis's early point made it 3 points to 0. Kieran Thompson then opened up Donegal's account to make it 3 points to 1. Owen Gallagher hit a beauty to make it 6 points to 3 after Emmet McMahon hit an easy point to make it 6-2. And when McMahon slotted that point, I understood why I had chosen Clare to win that game. I picked Clare to win this game. I thought that they were just going to be a little bit more free-flowing in the attack than Donegal, and certainly in the early stages, they were. Then Donegal kept fighting back. Thompson with another made it 6 points to 7. Clare were only 1 up now, and Quaylon McGonigal levelled the game then. Hugh McFadden's composed point gave Donegal the lead, 8-7. Donegal pushed on. Luke McGlynn gave Donegal a 3-point lead, 11-8. Aaron Griffin closed it to 11-9, but Donegal kicked on from there. Oisin Gallen hit a beauty to make it 13-9, and Donegal added one more to wrap it up for a 5-point victory, 14 points to 9. Now, one bit of controversy here was, should Hugh McFadden have been sent off for his challenge on Keane OD? Really, really hard to know. Really, it's a head-high challenge. He was given a yellow card. Look, the honest truth is here, and maybe sitting a little bit on the fence on this, is that I really think the GAA should introduce that the referees can sit down after a game, rewatch a game, and dish out red cards based on the replays that they can see. Because if the referee looks back at that and says, do you know what, that's a head-high tackle, I think Hugh McFadden should have been given a red card for that. He should be within his rights to do that, in my opinion. But what do you think? Put it in the comments below. But a huge victory for Donegal, nonetheless, over the Banner County. So the Táilteann Cup round 2 is over. Let's get into the full recap here, guys, on Play on GAA, starting with Group 1. And the first game we're looking at from this is Laois 111, Offaly 111 in O'Moore Park. A big missed opportunity, in my opinion, for Laois. It was even in the first half for long periods, but if any team was on top, it no doubt was Laois. Mark Timmins' beauty made it 7 points to 3, and just on the halftime stroke, Kieran Lillis punished a shocking mistake by the Offaly goalkeeper Ian Duffy with a goal, and Laois led at halftime by 1-8 to 5 points. In the 56th minute, Laois led by 6 points, 1-10 to 7 points. Now, the fact that they didn't close the game out from there is hugely disappointing if you're a Laois fan. Offaly fought back. Joe Maher hit the back of the net for the faithful county to bring it back to just a 3-point game, and Offaly carried on fighting back, and Nigel Bracken hit the equaliser for the faithful county to snatch a draw. And that is a huge missed opportunity for Laois, in my opinion. That was a big opportunity to get a really big win over a side in Offaly that are really, really progressing across all codes right now at all levels. Big missed opportunity for Laois. Offaly escaped that one, in my opinion, because I think that they should have won that game anyway. The other game that was on in Group 1 was Cavan 18 points, London 2-6 at McGovern Park in Ruislip. You look, not exactly the most impressive result from Cavan, but look, they just got through it. Like, definitely Liam Gavigan's early goal on 20 minutes, that made Cavan sweat. It looked like they were in a tricky spot. Cavan pushed back to lead 8 points to 1-4 at half-time. Look, in the second half, Paddy Lynch, Tiernan Madden, they pushed Cavan further ahead. But London stayed with them. The second goal for London came from Liam Gallagher. He was set up by none other than Liam Gavigan himself. Cavan responded well to this, though, and they outscored London from there to the end of the game to ensure the victory by 18 points to 2-6. Paddy Lynch with 7 points, Gerard McKiernan with 3, James Smith with 2. They dodged a significant banana skin there in Ruislip, and they are still my favourites to win the Táilteann Cup this year. Moving on to Group B, we just have a comment in here from Gavin O'Reilly. That draw between Offaly and Laois will probably benefit Cavan to top that group. I absolutely agree. I'm picking Cavan to top that group. And the fact that Offaly and Laois have taken points off each other definitely helps the Cavan cause. Moving on then to Group B, and there's a clash coming in Group B that I cannot wait for. It is between Meath and Down, and both those sides picked up victories in round 2. The first one, Meath 3-17, Waterford 1-14 in Fraher Field. Honestly, like, this Táilteann Cup could be a blessing in disguise for me, because when I look at them in this game, they do look off the pace for championship. Waterford held with them for long periods. Like, there is something there for Waterford. There's something there to work with. There's lads there that are putting their bodies on the line. And look, they got off to a decent start. They hit an early goal to stay in touch with Meath, who had flown out with the blocks. Aaron Lynch then hit his 5th point of the half to leave Meath leading 9 points to a goal and 4. Matthew Costello hits Meath's goal, though, and that was where the game changed completely in Meath's favour. Meath now led 1-10 to 1-5, and when Jordan Morris converted a penalty, the game was done. 2-12 to 1-7 it was at that point, and when Donald Lenihan hit the back of the net again, it was the icing on the cake, as Meath pushed on to win 3-17 to 1-14. The other game then in Group B, or Group 2, was Down 2-18, Tipperary 6 points at Semple Stadium in Thurles, and that one was played today on the Sunday. Look, an impressive victory for Down. Sheelan Johnston and Eamon Brown both hit a goal and 2 for Down in this game. Tipperary have just had an awful year, haven't they? Like, I mean, relegation from Division 3 and looking really out of their depth in that division, to be honest. beaten handily by Kerry, and a tough start to the Táilteann Cup. And look, their game against Laois, they're going to have to give a good account of themselves, because they're going to be in Division 4 against Laois next season. So look, some serious work to be done there for Tipperary, no doubt about that. Right now, if I had to pick a winner between Down and Meath, I would probably pick Down. Down have impressed me more so far. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Group C now, or Group 3, we're going to go on to. Longford, a hugely impressive victory over Wicklow at Pearse Park, winning 3-17 to 2-9. And all of a sudden, Wicklow have gone from being a side that were in the Division 4 final, beat Carlow in the first round of the Leinster Championship, put up a good fight against Kildare, to now they lost to Carlow in the shock of the round, and now they've been absolutely annihilated by Longford. And look, I picked Longford to win. I thought Longford would win the game, but I thought it would be a lot closer than this. Oran Kenny hit a lovely score in the 8th minute to give Longford a 2-point lead, and then they hit the back of the net from Andrew Farrell. Dylan Farrell got a second goal to make it 2-3 to 2 points. Then Longford tagged on 6 more points unanswered to leave Wicklow 13 points behind at such an early stage. What happened? Like, what was going on? Owen Murtagh hit the back of the net for Wicklow then to make it 2-9 to 1-2. Desi Reynolds, though, capitalised, made it 2-11 to 1-3 at half-time for Longford. And that game was over at that point. Joe Hagan hit the back of the net again for Longford to make it 3-14 to 1-6. The game was finished there. Longford took their foot off the gas. Wicklow got some consolation scores. Connor Fee looked good. Owen Darcy converted a penalty late on, but it was just a consolation. 3-17 to Longford, 2-9 to Wicklow. And interested now to see how this plays into the other game. Limerick 119, Carlow 14 points at net. Watch Dr. Cullen Park. A really good victory there for Limerick. And it's just, again, it's really interesting to see how this happens, because obviously Limerick got the victory over Longford. Now Longford got the victory over Wicklow. I'm fascinated now to see if Wicklow can beat Limerick, because it's a type of thing where Limerick looked like not that great, to be honest, in Division 2. They did look out of their depth, whereas Wicklow looked like they were making huge strides in Division 4. And it's a question of, can they recapture that form to beat Limerick? Because if they can, that changes the whole dynamic of the group, and then pretty much anybody could go through, especially if Carlow can beat Longford. So that's definitely a group to keep an eye on for sure. And the last group then, some significant results in this one as well. We're going to start with two teams that actually picked up results in the first round. And Antrim have made it 2 from 2, beating Wexford by 2-15 to 14 points in Wexford Park. It's another impressive victory for Andy McEntee's Antrim. Wexford were on top initially and led by 11 points to 9, but Antrim fought back to make it. And 2 goals in 3 minutes from Rory McCann turned the tide and won them the game by 2-15 to 14 points. Wexford fought back after the goals, some great scores from Power Hughes, Mark Rossiter and Kevin O'Grady, until a second card, which meant a red for Conor Carty in the 51st minute, completely derailed their comeback attempt. And for Antrim, a hugely impressive victory over Leitrim the first day out, and now a very impressive victory over Wexford away from home as well. And the main thing to look at when you're looking at this is, once again, Antrim have put up a big scoreline, and that's becoming a feature of this Andy McEntee side with Antrim. They're putting up big scorelines against other teams. Now, the last game in the Group D was, of course, Fermanagh 119, Leitrim 2-7 in Park Sean McDermott. Another defeat for Leitrim, who have probably had the year from hell, I think it's fair to say, ever since they managed to miss out on promotion from Division 4. You're talking like the loss to New York was horrible. Now back-to-back defeats to Antrim and to Fermanagh. But in this game, Fermanagh dominated pretty much. Leitrim went 20 minutes without scoring in the second half. Sean Quigley set Ryan Lyons to hit the net to make it 1-7 to 4 points. Fermanagh hit the last 2 points of the half to make it 1-9 to 4. Now at halftime, Leitrim could have just lied down and died, but they really did fight back. Paul Keeney hit an early second half goal. Mark Plunkett got another to make it 1-10 to 2-4. Fermanagh responded really well to this, though. They hit the next 5 points in a row, and that really killed Leitrim's charge. Fermanagh basically cruised from there home for victory. So look, result of the weekend, in my opinion, in terms of significance, I'm going to say Mayo beating Kerry, because I think that is them really announcing their arrival as, serious All-Ireland contenders. Look, if anybody didn't think that they weren't already All-Ireland contenders, they've just reminded everybody why they are. Going away to Kerry and putting in a result like that, hugely, hugely impressive. You cannot ignore that. But yeah, guys, that is the Play On GAA recap here. I really, really appreciate you giving me your time. Stay tuned because the hurling one is going to go live in just a few minutes. And until then, take care.